would you kill one guy to save 500?
Can I just kill everyone?
That is an option if you're an amoral sociopath, but let's assume you're not.
Oh, yeah.
That's usually what people say. But then when you actually begin to break the problem down, a lot of things come up. And that is really the basis of the James Gunn written The Belko Experiment, which we recently saw. We wanted to see this in the theaters, but we didn't get a chance to because our theaters suck! And they hardly bring movies in for more than a week sometimes. Yeah. And that was one of them. We were like, oh, let's go see that. Next thing you know, oh, it's gone. But we did catch it eventually. And we're going to talk about it. Hit that music! Movies, music, story times, all kinds of shit for you. Everything goes in the house tonight from So the Belko Experiment is brought to us by James Gunn. He wrote it and produced it, but it is directed by the man that brought us Wolf Creek, which I actually really, really enjoyed and has kind of gotten this weird life all of its own. It had a sequel, now it has a show, and everybody loves them, so that's cool. But anyway, the movie, I saw it before you did, and I was really surprised and pleased by it, and I figured maybe you would too. I don't know, were you? What's your impression of the movie off the cuff right here?
I liked it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. That was pretty great.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty fun.
It is a blast. It doesn't take itself 100% serious, but at the same time, the material is serious enough, so it kind of inhabits this weird zone that's, has a tone all of its own. But anyway, if you haven't seen the movie, basically these people of many nations, mostly from America, are working in a South American facility where one day they are shut down, locked into the building, and forced to kill one another at varying times and intervals to basically allow the others to survive. So for the first 30 minutes, they have to kill a certain number of people, or everybody, or a large number of them dies. So the trolley problem, of a philosophical quandary for a while now, that basically says, would you kill the one to save the many, is injected heavily into this. And what's great about the movie, I think, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is that it has and presents a wide variety of characters for you to possibly relate to or be against. And they all come from different walks of life, and they all have personalities of their own. They're very well established, I thought, anyway. And, some of them you just inherently like. It really creates the atmosphere of the workplace really well, There's all these personalities all stuck together, and they give you slight hints of where these personalities might go. But for the most part, everybody gets along and everybody's likable for the most part. Just what you would expect to see. But as situations become more tense, as they're put under stress, the darker portions, or sometimes the more genuinely good portions of their personalities, come to the forefront, and we see the more primal instincts of them embodied in these archetypal characters. And I thought they did that really well. I don't think there was one person in this cast that I disliked. What'd you think of the cast?
Yeah, there was no one who sucked. There was people you dislike, but they're supposed to be that way. So it's nothing against the actors.
And even then, when again, like these people that are kind of unlikable, they start off relatively relatable. They're just coworkers. The one that isn't, I guess, would be John C. McKinley's.
Yeah.
But even he, you encounter people like that, people that don't know to take the hint when to stop flirting with someone or assume too much.
He's definitely Guardian.
He's just a guy, though. And then we see, he is, and we see him interact with other people in normal ways. He's just obsessed with this one chick. But all these things, like I said, are cast aside and or contribute to how their personalities change in this dire situation that they're placed in. And here's the movie's strength, really, because I don't know about you, but despite, basically it comes to two camps. Those that don't want to find a way to circumvent the possibility of having to kill their fellow man for people to stay alive. And there's the ones that take logic rather than emotion into play and say, okay, but we're really saving a larger chunk. And then slowly logic and emotion begin to both decay, and they're both kind of in the same boat. I don't know about you, but I saw the sides. The movie did a really good job for me of showing me the logic to both sides. The logical calm side, or it's taking a more methodical approach, and the more emotional side. Obviously, I didn't want people that the movie had presented as likable to die, even the unlikable ones. I didn't want them to die, but they are in a situation where something of great evil is going to happen anyway. So I saw the logic too. So I don't know, did that work for you or did it not?
Yeah, actually, as the movie went along, I kind of started disliking the main guy. Because I was like, man, this guy, just do something already. But
Yeah.
his insistence on avoiding it was kind of getting to me, which they address at the end, thankfully.
Yeah, it really does pay off in the end.
Yeah.
But I thought that was great, man, that they could make you like him so much and then begin to see the fallacies in that response he has.
Yeah.
Which is a good response. He's a good man in general, but yeah, you begin to see the flaws in that. And the assholes that are wanting to kill everybody because they see the logic behind it at first, eventually they too decay in logic.
Yeah, that was an interesting one with the boss where they kind of, at first he's like, he doesn't come off as a douche, but then he just becomes this like villain.
Mm-hmm.
But he still kind of like thinks he's doing a good thing.
Yeah, and then you could see at first it's genuine, like just like you can with
and then he becomes like this kind of hateable guy towards the end.
Yeah,
as it goes along,
as it becomes evident that it's gonna boil down to just one person, basically.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I'm gonna freaking
he's more driven by that fact.
And then
to survive.
He's like ex-military, and I think too, and you kind of see that side take over at a certain point.
But it's really interesting, man, because you do see him struggle with the choice at first, and you do see that logic. So it's great, basically, is what we're saying, that both sides are presented so well and so evenly and so fairly that it does cause a response for you on either side. And again, there's a variety of people to take into consideration. There were all moments where it's like, oh man, I'm really siding with this guy now. No, I'm siding with that guy now. So the acting, the crew themselves, the characters they portray, I thought across the board was top notch, especially for such a wide swath of people. Pretty awesome, man. I really like that. The effects in this, once things get hectic, people die. And I gotta say, love it, because not the fact that people were dying, but the fact that they kept to the physical mostly, physical effects. Looked great. Some of the kills were pretty tense. Some of them were downright painful looking, and it just adds more heft to these deaths when these people are so normal. It's not your horror movie.
Yeah.
Typical teen that's obviously super silly and exaggerated, or just generally exaggerated character. These seemed like real people, and they seemed like So that really added something to it, and on top of that, the effects were pretty stellar. Some great kills in this, across the board. Cool. Anything you want to add to that specific thing?
No, I agree with it.
Now
I don't think there's anything that looks shitty in it.
The soundtrack has kind of like a tense drone-like, which makes sense in terms of these are worker bees basically, vibe to it, and it really does contribute to how suspenseful things get. So that gets a damn thumb up from us too.
Yep.
And that thumb is our penis. But yeah, that was pretty great. Again, visually speaking, this is kind of like a very Spartan approach to things. This is an office atmosphere, so it's very barren and very white. So
yeah,
it's
but then once they get trapped in, it gets very dark.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome, and it really goes hand in hand with how their minds of normalcy decay into a primal state. So I thought that was great. There's a lot of good, cool symbolism in this movie that parallels what's going on there. Overall, man, I think this is a little movie that should be a fucking classic. I know the response to it was relatively moderate, but I think the appreciation for it should value over time. I for sure think that this should be a classic. What do you think?
It's pretty great. It should be a classic. And also, just to add a little bit to it, I'm not a fan of this rise of the Battle Royale game type in video games. Fortnite, not my bag. This would kind of make sense as one of those games.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's set up.
And again, what makes something good is how much the characters in the story are relevant to you. And this has that, so it would apply.
Wow.
There's always a way to make something viable by giving it substance, and this movie does that, which I know some games don't. They're just kind of like, hey, let's kill each other. So this does that, and that would be pretty neat to see. Yeah. But anyway, let's give this a final rating. We do highly recommend this. What's your takeaway here?
It's pretty great. This was pre accusations Gun.
Yeah.
We stand with Gun, in case it's not clear.
So far, unless it happens to be true.
Yeah, unless there's some like video footage of him diddling. Anyway,
in which case we don't stand with Gun. We'll still watch his movies.
I'll stand by this movie. It's pretty damn great. I'll give it a 9. I really liked it. It's fun. It's weirdly fun despite
being so
dark.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed this movie. We'll give it a 9.2. I'm gonna squeeze a couple other points there. I really enjoyed this movie, man. And I saw it one day to the next. I'd seen it the day before I showed it to you, and it only got better. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome. I like to find movies like this and then just learn to love them. So we highly recommend this. Check it out. Tell us what you think about it. I am Ahab. That is the Goon Tick, and we are out.
It's gone diddle.
This music, stupid sounds, all kinds of shit for you. Everything goes inside and nuts, full cup of corpulent juice. This music, stupid sounds, all kinds of shit for you.